Chris, you're just drinking cooking wine over there.
Probably.
It's not a bird, it's not a plane, it's Superhero Slate. It's a modern podcast where we talk about everything that's great, like movies, TV, superheroes. It's Superhero Slate. Oh yeah.
Hello everyone and welcome to Superhero Slate, the show where we run down the latest superhero entertainment news.
We love TV, movies, and superheroes, so let's talk it all out.
My name is Chris Dillard.
And my name is Mike Royer.
And this week, we're going to be looking at some previews, possibly for some Disney Plus shows coming up here.
All right.
We're going to talk about that. We're going to also talk more about Sam Raimi doing Doctor Strange.
Okay.
Cross fingers. And then, of course, probably what most people are here for, the first Batman Batsuit footage in the wild debuts in a crashed motorcycle as well. We'll talk about that later.
In the wild, just like the bat. And props to you, Chris, summarizing our show at the top without any notes. Yeah. Usually you write like a nice little intro for yourself, and you're looking at a blank cursor right now, right after my name. So good job.
That's right, just a blinking cursor taunting me, saying you can do this. You can do this, and definitely I can. I will tell you, this is not the only time I've had to been put on the spot and had to wing it this week, Mike. I want to give a shout to my local CW channel, WBKI, invited me on to be on their Fanatic Talk, where they recap the CW shows right before they debut this week's episodes. So I got to talk about 2 weeks ago's Flash and 2 weeks ago's Legends of Tomorrow. And I will tell you what, they were not, for anyone who's listening for the first time because watching me on the show, I don't watch these normally, and those were two pretty bad episodes to watch. I'll tell you that right now.
I have to say you did a very, very, very good job convincing the viewers at home watching these news segments that you knew what you were talking about, because like I know Chris doesn't watch these shows every week. He just told me he had to watch these for this, so you did a good job faking it till you make it.
Yeah, thank you. It was pretty good. I mean, I think the Flash one got like the most views I've had in a while on that little Facebook page here, so I was pretty happy with that, and it was a very interesting two episodes. I think the Flash was about Valentine's Day, and it had Katie Sackhoff playing Aminette Black or whatever. I mean, you watch a lot more Flash than I do, I think. Maybe not anymore, but she just like chews through that scenery, man. She hams it up all the way through. Like, and all I remember her from was what was it, Battlestar Galactica, where she was like serious and like she'll fight you, and like after drinking a whole bottle of bourbon or something.
She'll fight you.
Yeah, and then the Legends of Tomorrow was, I didn't know there was someone on there who was a fairy godmother. I didn't know those existed in this universe. But apparently
I didn't.
They do.
I think Legends of Tomorrow kind of gets away with riding the line of cancellation, so it just keeps getting renewed, and they're just like, let's just do whatever we want because we just keep somehow getting by. So props to them.
Yeah, they jumped the proverbial shark man in that show a long time ago. So that was a good time if anybody watched that, or if you're coming on from listening. I hope you enjoy the show where we talk movies and TV news, like Mike said at the top of it. I see one of your topics here in the notes, Mike, and I'm a frequent watcher as well of other shows, not just the CW shows, but every Wednesday I catch the Masked Singer. And then directly after the Masked Singer is Lego Masters.
Oh, Lego Masters. Man, I'm so glad you watch it so we can kind of talk about it here a little bit at the top of the show. So this show is combining two of my favorite loves, and I didn't really know it until I watched the first episode, where this is basically like a baking challenge show, kind of like a Chopped or like a Cutthroat Kitchen. But instead of baking things, they're building things out of Lego. And Lego is the other thing that I grew up and I love, I'm infatuated with. I have like a whole tub of Legos underneath my bed that I've collected just after like moving out of my parents' house. And I have an equally large, huge tub back at my parents' home that one day these two collections will unite and I'll have like this giant mega tub of Legos. So it's just really great. Will Arnett is definitely kind of gearing his hosting towards, like, I would say the lowest common denominator of viewer in America. But every once in a while, he'll have like a pretty good zinger, you know?
Yeah. I think he got this job. I mean, he does. What does he not do? Doesn't he voice the Reese's commercials too? and then he was Lego Batman, which I think is what got him into this.
BoJack Horseman for years and years.
Right, that as well. Like, and then again, Arrested Development, which Netflix keeps bringing back to life, even though it keeps flatlining on the table after every season. But he's fun to watch. I mean, this is, again, like you said, it's like watching a cooking show or the Great British Bake Off, but they're doing Legos. I don't like that the judges can give them suggestions in the middle of the episode, because then the judges have an idea of what they want to see, and then it ruins if they don't do what they want.
Yeah, it does seem like, since it's a show that kind of hasn't existed yet with building things, it seems like as they're moving through the production process of the show, it seems like they're trying to find out new things. Like in the most recent episode, like you said, there was a moment where halfway through the build, the judges kind of came through and gave them critiques and advice, and just for no particular reason ranked the top half and the bottom half. It didn't affect the competition moving forward at all, but I was like, okay, this just seems like something maybe they're trying. It seems kind of weird and out of place, but I think the single coolest thing about this show is they give them literally a whole freaking day to build these Legos. I was expecting they would have maybe 3 or 4 hours to build a Lego thing, and then in the second half of the episode they'd build one more thing and there'd be different challenges. They're like, no, we're giving you 18 hours to build this sculpture, and yeah, we're paying these camera people to be here for 18 hours, so I hope you have comfy shoes. Will probably break so you can eat something, but so I think that's pretty intensive that they're there all day just building one thing, which sometimes can be really, really cool, and sometimes I'm like, I just wish they could maybe build another thing too. But man, it's been a really fun show.
It is. Also, the team who won the Golden Brick the first thing, spoilers if you haven't watched it, the first episode they give someone a Golden Brick, that one of those guys actually is from Louisville, and he lives here, and I have an indirect connection on how to talk to him if I wanted to. So apparently he's not saying anything until the show's over. So I might get more details when it's done. 16 hours building Legos. I mean, that's a long day. That is a long day. Are they really doing 16 hours, or are there more TV show breaks we don't know about in there? Mm-hmm. I'd like to know, but I mean, Lego's been fun to watch. I agree with that. Mm-hmm. I want to do my last topic before we start, Mike. So tell me what other things you've been watching this week.
Well, one recommendation that I'd like to give to our listening audience this is not me finding a gem in the rough. People have turned this stone over many, many times. It had a gigantic box office return because this was a Blumhouse movie that really took off a few years ago, and I'm just finally getting around to watching them, which is Happy Death Day and Happy Death Day to You, which is the sequel. They're both streaming right now on HBO, so if you've kind of just revitalized your HBO subscription because you're getting ready for the next season of Westworld, or I don't know, maybe you just have this HBO subscription that you're too lazy to cancel or you're not watching anything, go watch these Happy Death Day movies because they're surprisingly fun and innovative, I would say. I don't want to give too much away because I went in relatively blind, and even more blind to the sequel, and I just had a fun blast. So I'll just give you basically the knowledge of what I knew about it before you go into it, and everyone will have a fun time. It's basically Groundhog Day, where somebody is reliving the same day, but instead of them being rebooted after they fall asleep, a la Groundhog Day, they're rebooted every time they die, which now that I say it out loud, I think there are a couple scenarios in Groundhog Day where he kills himself and he does wake back up. But the added layer is that there's a serial killer out there trying to kill her, so every time she reboots, she gets to dive deeper into the mystery of who's trying to kill her. And it's a PG-13 Blumhouse movie, so you're not gonna have to worry about really gross gore that you might see in like a Saw movie or something like that. It's all very PG-13 safe. You're not really seeing people dismembered like you might see in some other horror slasher stuff, but it's really innovative. I would say it's actually really funny. It's exciting. And the sequel, just they went for it. They went for it in the sequel, and it gets kind of crazy. So just leave yourself open for 3 hours, maybe 4.5 or 3. I don't remember how long they were, but yeah, go watch Happy Death Day 1 and 2 on HBO. They're great.
Well, there you go. That's great. And if you're not doing that, and maybe you're in Chicago this weekend, come see me at C2E2.
Ooh, Comic-Con of the East.
Yes, I guess middle of it.
Well, east of me.
New York probably bigger. But C2E2 is coming up this weekend. I will be headed out Thursday to be there Friday and Saturday on the con floor. I know we have some listeners who will be there. I know some people have messaged me and reach out. I know Superfan Jim is going to be there, Mike. He's going to be hanging out. I'm very excited to meet everyone and hang out with people. It's always one of my favorite shows to go to. It's not as big and fancy as San Diego, but it's manageable, and like I don't feel miserable or have a sunburn by the time everything's said and done with this one.
Well, I would say by its clout, I would say it's in the top 5 of cons. Like the top 5 of cons that pop up in my head are Comic-Con. And then up in the Northwest, you have, I think, Emerald City Comic-Con is what they call it up there. You have C2E2 in Chicago. Down in Atlanta is Dragon Con, which I would say it's tilted more towards like cosplay and fantasy, but I would say it has very much a convention spirit to it. And then obviously you have New York Comic-Con that's in October on the East. So yeah, I'm trying to really think of anything right now that's as broad as C2E2 that would be bigger than it, because I would maybe throw PAX in the mix, but PAX is very much video game focused. So yeah, if you're anywhere near Chicago, you got to go check out C2E2.
Yeah, and this year, every year they have something different, their focus. This year is actually they have almost the entire cast of the Critical Role Dungeons and Dragons series there, and like a role playing has taken that's like the highlight this year, rather than movies or TV shows. That's their highlight this year. So
I would hope that they would show off some stuff from their very, very lucrative Kickstarter, that animated project that they got off.
Oh, I guarantee you they will. They've always every big panel, especially with multiple people, always has a lot going on there. I think a Star Trek people are going to be there from multiple shows as well, including the new Picard show, and I think maybe William Shatner will be there. And so there's all sorts of everything, wrestling, comic books, you name it, someone's going to be there. So I'm very excited for this year to go and have a good time. I made my list of wants earlier today, Mike, things I want to buy on the show floor. So I got my little notes app so I can hit it and put it in the backpack and move along. So if you're going to be there, let me know. We're going to be recapping it next week, I think. So very, very excited for this. But other than that, Mike, I think that we're going to jump into our news here. Something I don't think we'll ever get at C2E2 because this is so early in the year. I can't believe they're doing it in February this year. Is anything Disney Plus related, to be completely honest. But Disney is having a event in March for Disney Plus only. So they're making this on its own. And they're expected to unveil upcoming the MCU and Star Wars slates at this event.
Oh, wow. That'll be a big deal. Yeah, it's kind of a weird date. Like you said, March is kind of at the beginning of the year. Maybe they're just trying to kind of kick off their year of Disney making billions of dollars, because I think Onward comes out in March.
Yes.
Is that the first kind of big Disney slated movie, or is there one I'm not thinking of that's totally obvious that's out right now from Disney?
I don't think so. I think Onward and then Mulan.
January, February, March. I guess it would be the very end of the first quarter. So maybe they're just gonna tie it into some quarterly earnings. I don't know, but it's they're getting ready. They're kicking 2020 off with a big bang. It sounds like.
Yeah, Mulan is March 27th. So I think these are back to back. Like this is gonna be they back into the first quarter right with this stuff. But I mean, again, it's Disney Plus, so I think what we're gonna they didn't know any of these things were gonna be successful. We're going to have a Disney Plus drought for a little bit, Mike, for stuff that we want to watch, new stuff. The Clone Wars, we're going to talk about that a little bit, came out this week. But, I think we're going to see actual video previews since they showed it at the Super Bowl for Loki, WandaVision, Falcon and the Winter Soldier, and Mandalorian Season 2. So I think they're going to show some of that stuff. Hopefully those will leak online, knock on wood. But doubt it. But then also I think we're going to get updates on casting and release dates for the Obi-Wan show, the Cassian Andor project. We're not really on.
Hooray!
Hawkeye, She-Hulk, Ms. Marvel, and Moon Knight. I think we're going to see some casting announcements for all those next month because they got to start production soon.
That's going to be a big bang. And speaking of the Disney Plus drought, as you said, but also Clone Wars is coming back or is back. We decided to check out the High School the Musical the musical, the series. Is that what it's called?
High School Musical, the musical, yeah.
And I have never seen High School Musical or anything close to it. I didn't even really watch Glee, so I just know the basic concept of high schoolers singing. So we went to watch it because, I heard it was kind of meta and kind of funny. So we just couldn't get into it because we'd never seen it. And we're like, okay, maybe if we had seen High School Musical, this would be a little bit more interesting to us. But it's very well made. So if you want to watch, it's definitely not cheap. But yeah, that's not doing it for me. I'm slowly working my way through the Clone Wars backlog. I'm in season 3 right now. So I would say I'm approaching the halfway mark for what's available right now on Disney Plus. So depending on my schedule, it would be cool if I could catch up to everybody else by the time the last episode of the new season airs. I was going to ask you, is this new season that is out, is this supposed to be the last episode of the last season of Clone Wars? Okay.
They have confirmed this is the final season because Dave Filoni, who did this, went on to do Rebels and now is part... Jon Favreau is the name, but he is the mind behind this. For the Mandalorian. So, like you said, the Darksaber, which appeared in the Mandalorian, you now have seen it in the show. So, and that comes back more as well later. So, a lot of that stuff will play for it. I think in Mandalorian season 2, we'll see a lot of Clone Wars and Rebel stuff.
Yeah, I've seen like the episode arcs where they've been talking about Mandalore, and where everyone's when the Mandalorian show came out, a lot of people were asking questions about Jango Fett and Boba Fett, and I was like, I got to the episode where they explained that Jango Fett was just some bitchy little bounty hunter that stole that armor. He's not really a Mandalorian. Yeah. I was like, we talked about that on the show.
Yep, exactly. So now and knowing's half the battle. So. I think there is some stuff here, but there's nothing no large IPs during the summer that we're overly anxious for. Star Wars, however, we talked about this a little bit on our group chat here. There's a new film in development with director J.D. Dillard. Okay, no relation. Okay, who did the movie Sleight, and Matt Owens, who was a writer for Luke Cage.
Yeah, no idea what this is. This came out of nowhere. I think the last that we heard of anything coming out of Star Wars theatrically was there was supposed to be a Knights of the Old Republic thing. There was supposed to be this Rian Johnson thing. I haven't heard anything out of those. I think, were any of them officially canceled or canned? I don't remember.
No, so Rian Johnson, every week he gives an update that he's still working on his. The Game of Thrones guys have gone radio silent since everyone hates them.
I believe they may have officially, or at least very strong rumors, that they had left the quote-unquote Knights of the Old Republic project. But it doesn't mean that the project's canceled. They could always bring somebody else
The
on.
Only thing is there is no Knights of the Old Republic project. I think that's the thing that we have to... That is not confirmed at all. But there is still 3 dates coming up in 2022, 3, and 4. Now, there's also the Kevin Feige produced project that we've talked about before, where he's wanting to do one. That I think that one's pretty much the most recently confirmed. But what this looks like here again with J.D. Dillard, Sleight, and Luke Cage, these are both kind of for lack of a better term, African American skewed projects. Do you think they may be trying to do a Lando movie here, or something with what's his name? I want to say Childish Gambino, but that's his artist name. From the Solo, Donald Glover. Yeah. From the.
Whatever they do, all I want them to do is have a plan. Yeah. If you're going to make a one-off movie, go ahead, make your one-off movie. That is your right as somebody with a freedom of choice. But if you're going to start a trilogy, if you're going to start a series, if you're going to create a new character that's going to be around for a few years, just plan it out. That's all I want. I just want a plan. I want a beginning, a middle, and an end for the character where it doesn't all have to be necessarily solved, but at least have your points ready to go. I don't feel like that was serviced for me with these last 3 Star Wars films. So that's all I'm hoping. That's all I'm hoping for. Just plan it out.
You mean 3 of the 5? Because Rogue One was pretty
the trilogy, yeah.
Because Rogue One was it. I think Solo had more plans, but I would like to see the Darth Maul, Emilia Clarke thing pick up in a show. I don't want to see a movie about their stuff. But I think what does this mean for me? I mean, I don't know if they're like, where does this live? I don't think I think they're done with the Skywalker stuff. Is this a future afterwards kind of thing, or is this actually a prequel Old Republic or High Republic era stuff that we've heard rumors about?
You know what Star Wars questions has been bouncing around in my head since now I'm in kind of this tangential Star Wars story area right now where I've been watching the Clone Wars. I've been like slowly working my way into Star Wars Fallen Order, that's what it's called, right?
Yeah, Fallen Order. Yep.
So like I'm in like this other section parcel of Star Wars, and I'm having all of these other thoughts, and I'm like, has anyone ever explored the idea of what's at the very edge of the galaxy? You know, I know there's always been like one-off lines of just like, oh, he's ran away and he's hiding at the edge of the galaxy. We'll never be able to find him, or we'll have to go chase him down. But like, does anyone in the broader Star Wars universe have a second to not think about a war and like look through a telescope and go like, oh, there's a neighboring galaxy over there? Do you think they also have wizards over there with lightsabers? Do they live a more simple life in this neighboring galaxy? So I don't know. I feel like maybe has this been touched upon with like a philosopher and like a one-off Star Wars novel? I don't know. Maybe we'll have a Star Wars movie that deals with this.
There were several novels before everything was done called Legends that happened post. There were solo twin. The solos had twins, and after that, like after they were adults, there was something that was like this race of beings that were immune to the Force, that were coming. They're kind of like Borg in Star Trek, I think, a little bit. So that could be an opportunity. You know, it could be Outer Rim. I think, you know, what about? I mean, you may or may not care about this, but like, what about the origins of the Sith versus the Jedi? Like the original Civil War in space, like the Hatfields and McCoys. Like one's light side, one's dark side.
Well, is that even earlier than the Knights of the Old Republic story?
That'd be very much earlier than the Republics, because they were around before they.
I mean, that would be really. I mean, there'd be a lot of interesting questions and problems you would need to solve, right? You know, How far back do you have to go back in time before you have to start thinking about, like, you know, set design and costume design and everything? Like, how proto do the humans get? Like, how far do you bring back the technology? Like, are people even figuring circuits out still? Like, or what do we see the first lightsaber ever invented? I don't know. Is that like way too early? Those stories almost seem like so so small that you would see them like in a comic book or something like that. But it's definitely interesting.
Well, the only thing is, like, to me that would be like a very standalone thing that could work. That's not like, oh, we know where these people are going to end up. You know, like it's not like a 20-year prequel. It's like so far back. Like, yeah, we could just tell a story, kind of move along if we wanted to. Again, I'm a bigger fan of going forward. What does a world look like with only one Jedi kind of thing? But that's different. Yeah,
it's like, but what do you do in like the theatrical universe? I think that's the big question at hand here is, if you had all of the money in the world, which is basically Disney's bank account, to make a Star Wars movie, what big story do you tell, or what story that takes, you know, a lot of money? Because it seems like anything smaller, like you said, is just going to end up on Disney Plus, which makes total sense. So it's like you got to spin up some sort of big epic. So like, what epic is left? Well, like, this galaxy can't just be war-torn for perpetuity. That's just not interesting.
Well, the problem with that is, I think, you know, we could run into, you know, a lot of people's concern is, like you mentioned earlier, literally they'd have to plan 3 movies. Maybe they only want to plan a movie, so it can't be nearly as epic with one movie, you know, at the end of the day. So
I think what sounds the most interesting to me is they kind of did this a little bit between the gap of Avatar: The Last Airbender and The Legend of Korra, where they built in like a time span in between these two things where the worlds have had time to change and also the cultures had time to change. And the past seemed a little bit more like a relic, and people were more concentrated and worried about the future. So what if we go far enough into the future of Star Wars? I'm thinking like almost like a big enough jump as like they do in Star Trek. Like, do you know how many years off the top of your head between the original series and the next generation is? Is it like 100 years, like a generation? I'm not really.
I don't think it's that far. I think it's more like 30 or 40, because they did cross over in one of the movies.
Oh, okay. Who knows? Maybe it could have been
normal. They're just time travel and all that.
Yeah, obviously we don't know our Star Trek. But like, what if there was a big enough gap in time to where time had kind of started to heal wounds, and and like make the future cloudy, and like there really isn't a dark side or a light side anymore, but they kind of both exist and they're just both very muddy. Like some people are walking around with red lightsabers and they don't really know that the red lightsaber used to mean like evil, and other people walking around with blue, and I don't know, there could be something interesting to deal with there, but that maybe something like that could be handled in a larger movie, but I don't know.
You just got to move outside of the Skywalker saga. I think we're both on agreements with, and figure out which way to go. Do you take a step forward or backwards is the best one. The only thing is with this movie from Dillard and Owens is that they're uncertain if it will be a theatrical release or a Disney Plus offering. Again, we've not seen any movies transition to Disney Plus yet that were planned for theater, so maybe they make it for that, or maybe it's a smaller show, they turn to a show, and there's no ties to the currently announced movies that we just talked about, the Johnson trilogy, the potential Game of Thrones thing, and then the Feige films. So it's a question mark, a big question mark. The Clone Wars Season 7 series finale has started on Disney Plus. Just to remind people, if you've never seen Revenge of the Sith and you're watching this will tie into Revenge of the Sith. So I think that's pretty obvious, and it's doing the episodic release, Mike, every week, so which I'm a fan of. So
yeah, do we are we expecting like 10 episodes, or
I think it was 10 to 12. I'm gonna have to look it up here because I'm trying to stay as blank into this as possible. And I want to say it's they usually do episodes of 12. There's 12 episodes, so there's probably gonna be 4 to 5 arcs probably. So
yeah, I've been meaning to rewatch Revenge of the Sith just because it's been a while since I've kind of dabbled with a lot of the prequel movies. When I go visit other people or I go home for the holidays, there's always like a Star Wars movie like on cable somewhere, so you catch bits of it. But, it's been a while since I've seen the last one of that prequel trilogy, and I was like, well, this is a good time to rewatch it with me watching the Clone Wars, but now I'm trying to strategize when I watch the live-action movie. So if this last season is going to be dabbling in Revenge of the Sith, is it going to be kind of like just parallel, or is like the very last episode of the Clone Wars going to dovetail right into the Revenge of the Sith?
I assume it's going to be that latter of the two where it ties in. The last episode will pick up at the beginning of Revenge of the Sith, where with Anakin and Obi-Wan getting in their ships above Coruscant.
Well, I guess the biggest question is, does Order 66 tie into the Clone Wars series? Because that's a big moment. That's kind of where everything changes. Where everything changes for the Jedi. So that would be crazy.
Yeah.
That would be insane to see that in more of an episodic format, because you could really dive into that order. So, man, hopefully nothing gets spoiled. I know you won't spoil anything for me going forward in the next 10 weeks, but I'm pretty sure I can catch up and get pretty close in the next 10 weeks.
Yeah, I don't think you're going to have to, unless you're looking hard for spoilers, simply because this, the next movie has already been, like every movie comes after this, so there's nothing new to the table. And then the show Rebels, which was a spiritual successor, does bring some characters who survive into it. So I think they would have spoiled it there. So I think it's just going to be a wrap up with some of these hanging threads, if you will.
Yeah, it's obvious because all you have to do is look at the poster for the newest season. I know Ahsoka is still alive, so it's gonna be brutal and heart-wrenching if they kill Ahsoka in this last season. But it's still technically.
But they can't, because she's in Rebels.
Oh, she is in Rebels?
Yeah, she's on every poster of Rebels. They have her.
Okay, well, it goes to show you what I know.
Yeah, no, you're good.
So she's not gonna. Okay, I don't have to worry about her dying then.
Yeah, I wish we could. Like, that's the thing. I wish we could worry about where these characters will live. Like right now, I'm watching an episode. I'm like, Obi-Wan's not gonna die. Why are they? Why are they trying to tell me he's gonna die when I'm like, we know he's not gonna die.
Yeah, watching this series makes me think a lot about the prequels, and I would love to see Mace Windu come back in Obi-Wan's Disney Plus show. We saw him get thrown out a window, but we see Jedi fall from great heights all the time, and I feel like I've seen Mace Windu go through a lot more than just being electrocuted in all of these Clone Wars episodes I've been watching. So
Darth Maul got cut in half, and he came back.
Yeah, if there's going to be seeing Baby Yoda was a big reveal in The Mandalorian. Big reveals seem to be a key moment to get people to watch and to subscribe. So imagine a moment where we're about to see like Obi-Wan get like beheaded or something like that, or or maybe somebody else, like you said, that we know could possibly die at the hands of a villain, and then bam, we see like a purple lightsaber come into view, and we're like, oh snap, it's Mace.
I think Mace Windu comes back as an evil Jedi.
Oh, I like that. That's clever.
Like he's always walked the line of he's an angry Jedi, right? He could easily become a Sith very easily. And this whole being thrown out the window stuff, like he uses anger to keep him alive,
or maybe he just kind of becomes chaotic neutral, just kind of bouncing back between the two. We'll just kind of kill anybody that gets in his way. He's just kind of too old for this shit.
But if he's coming back as an evil person or a dark Jedi or whatever you want to call it, but he's coming after Obi-Wan because he trained Anakin, and Anakin's the one who did it to him.
Oh, okay. Yeah, I like this.
All right, there's a way to do it, but I mean, we're not saying it's going to do. But either way, we've got some opportunities with Star Wars to tell some really cool stories still, I think is the end of it. Are you familiar with the character in Marvel, Elsa Bloodstone?
I certainly am not.
Perfect. She's like a monster hunter style character. Imagine like a Van Helsing kind of thing.
Okay.
Her father was kind of like that character as well. She's usually in a lot of the horror stuff, teamed up with Blade or something like that. She's a playable character in Marvel Ultimate Alliance 3 as well. But there was apparently a talk of a brand new female superhero show last year on ABC, and she was supposed to be the lead of it that was just uncovered. And this was canceled before it was greenlit at ABC. Jeff Loeb, I don't know who did what. But they didn't go forward with it. But it would have probably tied into the Monster Marvel universe, which was like Hellstrom, which is still going forward in Ghost Rider. And possibly, who knows how much it would have tied into like a Blade TV show or something like that. But either it's canceled because they're going to use her at Marvel in an upcoming show like Blade, or they just were like, nah, we don't have the budget for this. I don't know.
Yeah, this just seems like more remnants of Jeff Loeb's career just coming to the surface.
Well, I call his part where he wrote the Ultimate Comics and everybody hated it, called the Lobotomy, because he removed all the fun parts of what it was. So it sounds like the same thing here. Really, really close to it. Sorry, I can take a drink there. Loki, however, very excited for this show since we had the Time Variance Authority on his shirt. This is rumored now to be setting up Kang the Conqueror for the MCU going
Kang
forward.
the Conqueror. I know this guy because of Earth's Mightiest Heroes.
And what does he do in that show?
He's conquering. He's jumping around time streams.
Yeah.
Cool alien dude. I'm looking forward to some Kang.
So Kang was apparently part of the Time Variance Authority when he was younger, which kind of gave him the insight and how to manipulate time later on in his life. So we may see a younger version of Kang, like a pre-Kang, if you will, who was also known in the comic books as Iron Lad, his younger self. But he saw his future become evil, so he tried to become good. So I don't think we'll see Iron Lad, but I think this is an opportunity to see a young Kang take part in the show.
And it makes sense if you're going to use a character like Kang to throw him into this Loki show, because to me it seems like this Loki show is going to be very quarantined off. It's going to be kind of dealing with this alternate kind of timeline where we're just going to have some fun with Tom Hiddleston, get some Disney Plus subscribers, probably not going to get past the season 2 of Loki, maybe just one season, and we'll just have some fun, get a little bit of Kang, because I don't think they're going to bring time travel back around anytime soon. I mean, they did it in the biggest way possible with Avengers Endgame, and it just kind of seems weird to return to the well of time travel, because then you're just bringing up a lot of questions of why can't they fix this, why can't they fix that, let's just go back in time. So it makes sense to kind of isolate Kang and his time travel abilities to this one-off isolated show.
Well, they are working on season 2. We've talked about that before. They already have the LLC for the 2 license, but I think here's the thing. I think it's not going to be, Loki isn't time traveling. He's creating alternate universes on accident, whether he realizes it or not, because he got the cube right and got away in Endgame. But they obviously fix it before the end of Endgame. So I think the first season will focus on fixing this, him creating these alternate timelines. But I don't think time travel will really play a part, or this TVA will be like, look, this is the last time we can do this. There's a reason why people don't mess in time travel. And really set the ground rules, like, yeah, we can't do this anymore, kind of deal. But I mean, I think there's opportunity for season 2. Is like, what does a Loki season 2 kind of show look like? Like, do we pluck him from the time stream and the TVA puts him drops him somewhere else. Like, all right, figure it out. I don't want it to be Legends of Tomorrow-y because I think that's gonna suck because they deal with time travel all the time and it's very, very consequential. But I mean, I think Loki's still a compelling character all around.
I mean, a character like Loki coming back from a different dimension to join the crew again makes a lot of sense in the comic books. All that stuff happens like a million times over. But we've discussed this on the show before where his death had a lot of meaning in the mainline version of the MCU. So I don't think we would want to just be plucking alternate versions of Loki and just bringing Tom Hiddleston back into the fold, because it's just, I don't know, it just kind of ruins the impact of the death.
Do you think they'll go down the actual story of Ragnarok, which they do in the comic books and in the Norse mythology, that once people die, there's this Ragnarok, right? Asgard's destroyed, people die, that everything is reborn again. The Ragnarok's a cycle kind of thing for Asgard. Do you think that would be an opportunity for him to come back in a Thor-esque thing later, or do you think just leave Ragnarok out of it and don't do the cyclical thing?
I think Tom Hiddleston just has to take his graceful exit after the Loki show, because all of that stuff,
Marvel money, man, that Marvel money.
Well, all of the story mechanics that you're bringing up would work like just perfectly for like literally anything else, like a comic book, an animated movie, an animated TV show, maybe like a What If storyline and What If season 2, but it's just like. I think we saw Tom Hiddleston's purple lifeless dead skull drop in space, and I think that's where we leave it.
I think, however, I'm still of the impression that if everybody died and then they have to start over, and this is like they can recast all these characters and Asgard relives again through a cycle of like new people. I don't know. There's an opportunity there to recast without making sense in the story of Ragnarok. But.
I mean, I'm sure Loki, gets around, lays down with a couple ladies. I wouldn't be surprised if he's also interested in a couple fellows around the multiverse and universe. If you brought in like a child of Loki at some point in time, I would be totally down with that. I mean, that's very believable.
Hela is originally his daughter in the mythology in the comic books. So they're going to have some fun with this. Maybe a kid Loki. I don't know. We've talked about that before.
I mean, we got Baby Yoda. What about Baby Loki?
Baby Loki, exactly. She-Hulk is on the horizon, Mike. I've seen She-Hulk probably 3 times this week in different things, between the Marvel United game, the new Marvel Zombies Funko Pops and stuff. But there's a rumor right now that the Red Hulk is rumored to make his debut in the She-Hulk series. Are you familiar with the Red Hulk at all?
I mean, yeah. Red Hulk is General Ross, I believe, right?
Yep. General Ross. But he's not like gamma powered. Like his powers like heat and fire and stuff like that. Not like normal gamma stuff like a Green Hulk. He looks like a Hulk, but his powers are different. Yes.
I mean, this is the opportunity. I mean, we're the rights to cinematic Hulk are still kind of up in the air. I think we've kind of talked about maybe Disney getting the rights back from Paramount or like the distribution, agreement coming into order. But it seems like they don't have to worry about any of this crap on Disney Plus. So it seems like She-Hulk is going to be the time to throw in all of that Hulk stuff we've always wanted to see. So yeah, throw in a Red Hulk, throw in a Gray Hulk, bring Nerd Hulk back into the fold. Do everything.
He'll have to be at some point because normally She-Hulk is created due to blood transfusion between Bruce Banner and Jennifer Walters. But if there's a second Hulk, this is like I said, this is an opportunity for General Ross to be like, okay, well, there's 2 Hulks now. We need to make a Hulk, and somehow becomes a Red Hulk. There's another Red Hulk, and later down the road that somebody else becomes. It may not be Ross. The actor was William Hurt. He's getting up there in age. He looked old in that Black Widow trailer, so. Who knows what we'll be doing with that, but the opportunity. Hawkeye and Ms. Marvel were both present at Hasbro's investor presentation this week, and they both say, Hasbro says that both shows will debut in 2021.
Oh, yeah, look at this little Hasbro timeline here.
Yes, and what's interesting is Hawkeye's on the schedule for late 2021 with Jonathan Igla, who's known for Mad Men as a showrunner, but Ms. Marvel is rumored to debut before that now, so being moved up here. And the show we've talked about being kickstarting in April for production, so Do you think that's a surprise or not really? Because
I mean, it could be as simple as they've just strategically decided this needs to go first. I would imagine Jeremy Renner is maybe a lot more difficult to schedule around since he's a very established star, whereas I'm sure whoever they're going to cast for Miss Marvel would be maybe possibly an unknown or kind of a freshman to Hollywood in general. So that could explain why Hawkeye takes place a little bit later. But if we believe in all of the grand schemes of Disney Plus and Kevin Feige, which why wouldn't you, there's probably a reason it airs after Miss Marvel, and it's probably got to do something with the story. So I can't wait to watch our very first Disney Plus Marvel show, because it's going to answer so many questions for us. It's going to tell us, what is the tone going to be like? What's it going to feel like watching 6 or 8 episodes of a show? Is that going to be enough to really entice us moving forward? What kind of cliffhangers are we talking about here? Is there going to be a cliffhanger at the end of episode 8 or 6? I don't remember. I don't remember the episode orders for all of these. Is it going to dovetail into the next streaming show, or is it going to dovetail into the next season of the show, or maybe there'll be 2 credits scenes? I mean, I'm only assuming that there's cliffhangers and credits just because that's how they did it in the movies, and Feige keeps telling us these are basically going to be like episodic movies.
Yeah, no, I agree. I don't know what they're going to do, but when they debuted all the shows, that's probably the ones they had confirmations for. And since they added Miss Marvel, Moon Knight, and She-Hulk, it doesn't matter what order they come out in. They just probably had them on the slate, and they were like, well, we now have showrunners for these, so let's get them up and going. So I don't think it's a problem at all.
This looks interesting over here. This year on Disney XD, there's something called Spider-Man Maximum Venom. They just putting goo on all the characters.
Yeah, they do. I actually have some of those pops up here. Like, they venomized everybody. Like, venomized Ultron, the Punisher, Green Goblin, stuff like that. They'll venomize anything.
Gotta get that goo.
It's true. Gotta get that goo. Miss Marvel is tied into another superhero character who doesn't have a movie on the slate yet, but Captain Marvel 2 looks like it's definitely confirmed. I know we've talked about this before, but like the LLC Warbird Productions 2 has been filed officially, so the sequel is in the works. Do you think this would tie into incorporating Kamala Khan into her movie after the fact now? And putting this out in 2022.
Yeah, it is strange to think about. Like, the biggest hurdle you have to get over in a Miss Marvel TV show is literally her name. And the comic books, her identity is connected to Captain Marvel existing. But in the comic book of Miss Marvel, like Captain Marvel's like a celebrity, like a lot of the other superheroes are. They're well known. There's people probably making pop culture merchandise in her world that she can buy this stuff and put it up in her room, and have little toys on like her desk and dresser and put posters up on her wall so she can be infatuated with Captain Marvel. But if she's kind of just showed up to Earth like once to save it is definitely a big enough task to become world famous. But like there weren't really any cameras there when the Avengers compound was getting destroyed. So I'm just kind of thinking, how does Captain Marvel get on Miss Marvel's radar?
There's 2 ways to this. One, actually, Captain Marvel showed up at the end of Infinity War, technically, right, and helped kill Thanos, which the world knows about later. Mm-hmm. So she would probably have a statue saying somewhere, and people would know her for 5 years before the other half of the people snap back in. But also, does she stay on Earth? Like, how long is Miss Marvel set after the Battle of Avengers, right? Spider-Man jumps forward several months. If this is, on the same timeline, 2 years later, Captain Marvel may be popular, at this point.
I feel like a clever way to kind of just get around this is just at the very beginning of Miss Marvel's show, just have somebody say that there's like a documentary that just premiered. Obviously, if an event of this nature happened in our world, there'd be tons of people in Hollywood making movies and TV shows about it. Trying to get to the bottom of it. It would just like take control over the whole world. So yeah, I could totally see like just a documentary existing, and then like you get familiar with all of these different heroes.
Or do they not even connect her? Because technically Captain Marvel went by Miss Marvel in the comic books for 30 plus years, and she's never been called Miss Marvel in this universe at all, and she just happens to instead of I can't be Captain Marvel, I'll just be Miss Marvel kind of deal. I don't know. There's a way to do it without even because her symbol used to be Miss Marvel's symbol, but that is not related to Carol Danvers in the MCU at all now. So
yeah, that's true, and that lightning bolt is incorporated in that official logo. So yeah, they'll be. I'm sure they'll do something creative to kind of get us there.
Yeah. God, we're getting Inhumans again, Mike. That's all I'm excited for. An MCU and humans. Right the wrongs. Doctor Strange in the Multiverse of Madness has been through quite the ringer this year already. Losing director Scott Derrickson. He's still executive producer, but also the rumors of Sam Raimi directing, and now there are more signs that he is directing for sure.
Ooh, what are the signs, Chris?
So apparently there's this thing in a couple months called Monster Mania Con. And Sam Raimi is known for doing what Darkman, Army of Darkness, Evil Dead, right? So he's a staple of these. But he's canceled this due to filming requirements. He hasn't done a movie since Oz the Great and Powerful. So what movie is Sam Raimi doing?
Ooh, Doctor Strange. I love this I love these like little conspiracies.
Yeah, exactly. Because I went and looked at him like, what has he been doing lately? I mean, he's been producing some stuff here and there, but like the last one he did was The Grudge, which didn't do so hot at the box office itself. But I mean, just kind of looking at stuff, like he really hasn't done a whole lot for a while. And but Ash versus the Evil Dead, I guess he did the TV show, some of that. But like, what's he doing? Probably pre-production on Doctor Strange. They got to get this off the ground and going, man, sooner or later to hit that next year's release date for May. So I'm excited. I mean, I still think this is a great grab. What do you think?
Oh yeah, for sure. I mean, Sam Raimi he has a style, which is what I like. I always like directors where you can like tell like, oh, this is a blank movie. So I'm curious to see what spin he's going to put on Doctor Strange, but I'm hoping we get more Spider-Man 1 and 2 than Spider-Man 3 out of him. But there's a lot of drama around Spider-Man 3 of what could have possibly caused that nightmare.
Right, exactly. I mean, there's a whole documentary on that and the production nightmare behind it. But I mean, I think if I still hold Spider-Man 2 up on this pedestal. It's not perfect by any means, and it doesn't. Some of the effects haven't aged well over time, but some of the effects have remained awesome the whole way through. And do you remember the scene where Octavius comes back to life on the operating table, and his tentacles are like doing all the
that's awesome. A scene like that in a Doctor Strange movie, yes please.
Yeah, especially with modern technology and the crazy stuff out in Doctor Strange, like there's an opportunity here to really play with that, and I think that's really great. So knock on wood, we get Sam Raimi. Now buckle up for some conspiracy, Mike, because there is a rumor that Sony is making a Mysterio solo film with Jake Gyllenhaal from Spider-Man Far From Home.
Sony, why? What do you?
Is it a good rumor? This is speculation. No.
What do you? This seems more egregious to me, just because I know that the MCU Feige machine made Gyllenhaal. They made Mysterio. Yes, Sony's logo is on that movie, but I would attribute all of the positives of Spider-Man Far From Home to Feige and the MCU. So now it's just like Sony's just like, nah, we're gonna take what you made and now we're gonna possibly mess it up. Whereas normally they've just been taking stuff that just hasn't been touched yet, and it's like, okay, I guess you can kind of go ahead and screw up Venom if you want. I guess the MCU doesn't have to use that symbiote if they don't want to. But I wonder if Feige's just like, hey, what are you doing?
Well,
or they're just like, okay, no, we get to keep using Tom Holland as Spider-Man for the foreseeable future, and you can do whatever you want to do to Mysterio.
Well, I mean, that's under a big assumption that they're just taking it and not doing any feedback from Marvel. I would think that there's some sort of agreement here where Marvel's like, we will help you executive produce a lot of these movies, and get good reviews and get your money's back if we can continue to use our Spider-Man. So like yeah, you could make a Mysterio movie, that's fine, but you have to go through us to make sure it lines up with our stories.
I certainly hope you're right. What the scenario that I would like to imagine is, Feige is the big, powerful producer. And he's human, so he won't be around forever. So I got to imagine there's a number two. There's got to be a Padawan to Feige out there right now, and this would be a great project for his Padawan. Send him off to Sony to monitor all of this stuff and make sure it all goes well.
Yeah, because I mean, there's an opportunity here. Like, if they are building towards a Sinister Six movie, Mike, you're gonna need Mysterio, and I don't think he died at the end of the movie. I think it's all a ruse, right? because how would he have had time to send off that footage and stuff like that, before he died? I just don't think he's dead.
Well, and also the whole point of Mysterio is it's mystery. Well, the truth is in the eye of the beholder type deal. Like, I could easily see him getting away through like tricks and quote unquote magic technology.
Exactly. So they use this. He's still alive, and this movie is following him, like getting his revenge and getting back, up, and people don't take him seriously because they think he's dead. I don't know, like actually becoming someone worth fighting on his own technology rather than borrowing Tony Stark's technology, if you will.
Well, I mean, so far it's just Mysterio and the Vulture that have gears to grind against Spider-Man.
But the Scorpion.
Was this?
He remember he had the face thing on the boat in the Homecoming, and then at the end of Homecoming he asked the Vulture, "Do you know who Peter Parker is?"
Okay, yeah, I guess he. Yeah, he was like the weapons dealer on the boat, right?
Yeah,
or something like
that.
That.
Is a
okay,
yep.
I mean, I guess that's not. There's a little bit of a vendetta there, but even at the same time, it seems like the Vulture kind of maybe would have a better opinion of Spider-Man because Spider-Man kind of saved him. But I don't know. Mysterio seems to be the only one with the biggest axe to grind. So we got to figure out, well, if Venom is somehow in the Sinister Six, where's Venom's axe? I guess maybe is that what the Tom Holland cameo in Venom 2 is? Like Tom Holland just like takes Peter Parker just takes a trip to San Francisco and just like cuts him in line. And Tom Hardy's just like, no, I'll have my revenge. I know you're Spider-Man. I'm going to get a group of people together and you'll never cut me in line again for coffee.
Well, I mean, there's also the Morbius movie has Spider-Man in it. Do you think that'll tie back in the Spider-Man eventually?
I don't know.
He doesn't seem like a Sinister Six kind of guy, but
yeah, I don't know, Chris. There's so many questions.
There's a lot of questions. Do you think we're gonna get some answers at Comic-Con this year?
You know what? I hope so.
God, I hope so too. I'll be scrolling through that Twitter feed, waiting for it. So that's for sure. This year. We just had a nice little talk about Fortnite before the show started. Mike doesn't play. I play, but this season, this new season 2 of chapter 2, an unlockable skin is actually Deadpool. Like the actual Deadpool character will be an unlockable character to play as later this season.
I've been curious how the relationship between Marvel and Fortnite has evolved because Fortnite's such a big juggernaut where you have people like Netflix out there saying like, oh, we're not competing with YouTube, we're competing with Fortnite because that's where all of people's time is going into that game. So I wouldn't be surprised if maybe Marvel approaches Fortnite and be like, hey, do you want to put some of our IP into your game so we'll remind people that Marvel still exists?
Well, let's pump your brakes. If you remember last year, they actually had an in-game.
Yeah, they had Thanos in there. So basically, I'm just wondering where the money is flowing. Is Fortnite paying for that license, or is Disney like saying like, "Hey, put us in there"?
There's actually two. So Infinity War just had the Thanos mode, right? Very very easy. But the year after for in-game, then you actually had Captain America's shield, Hawkeye's bow, Thor's hammer, and Iron Man's gauntlets and gloves. So like they keep it more. I have a Black Widow skin and a Star-Lord skin already that I bought. So I think they're like, hey, Deadpool, like, it's interesting that he's not unlockable yet right out the gate. Like, there's a bunch of little weird stuff, but like, he's so meta that I think Fortnite kids would love the Deadpool jokes and like his he's not really, he's kind of crass a little bit. He's very like, oh, I know I'm in a video game kind of thing. He had his own video game. I really liked it.
Yeah, well, he's a rude dude,
Yeah, he is something. That's for sure. But either way, I hope to see some more. They've always, Fortnite has been interesting because they will take a popular thing and like do a Dollar Tree version of it, kind of thing. Like before Star-Lord there was Rust Lord, and he looked like Star-Lord, but he was like a junkie, like a junker version of Star-Lord. But like later they had Star-Lord, so.
Speaking of Star-Lord, yesterday my wife was on the couch and she starts asking me these very cryptic questions while she's on her computer. She's just like, if you had to hang out with just one of the original Avengers, who would it be? And then she lists all of them, and then Black Widow isn't anywhere on the list. Then she goes to the next group and she's just like, if you had to go get lunch with one of these Avengers from Civil War, who would it be? And I was like, well, why isn't Scarlet Witch or Black Widow on this list? And it basically is going to find out. There's a BuzzFeed quiz where it guesses your age based on how into the men of the Marvel MCU that you're into. So I think I said I would. I think I would do something with Chris Pratt. I don't remember what depraved thing I said I would do to Chris Pratt.
Wow.
But I guessed my age was like 14. So if anybody wants to go take that quiz, go find it.
I can see that. I can see you fooling the internet to thinking you're 14, Mike. Totally behind that. Speaking of things that make me laugh like we're 14, the newest Batman stuff is out. They're filming out in the open, just like we predicted. Usually that's what we say, Mike. If they're releasing it early, guess what they're going to be doing next?
They're going to be shooting.
They're going to be filming outside, so you can't get leaked stuff. And we had our first look at the Batman suit in action. I love this Twitter video. Whoever is the stuntman for Batman is driving down this, this cemetery road, very bricky. He pops out a little bit, breaks it, pops out a little bit, and then guess what? Oh, he falls over.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know if we've had any confirmation if this is or is not a stuntman, because the first thing that I saw was some set photos where you got to see the suit in full. We have confirmation that the Batman suit has ears. It also has some cool tactical stuff on it. I don't know if this is like a Batman action figure where when you buy him with the motorcycle, he comes with extra motorcycle add-ons, So I don't know if we'll be seeing these I don't know if they were like blow darts or what exactly. He had some sort of like tubing around like his gauntlet
They
area.
look like the Black Widow kind of battery packs, except like longer, if you will.
Yeah, so I don't know if that was a motorcycle accessory or not. And I guess I'm not insanely familiar with Robert Pattinson's chin, but when I was looking at those photos, I was like, man, is that the stunt double under there because he's sitting on a motorcycle, or is that Pattinson's chin? And I was like, either way, this is working really, really well for me because there's bat goggles, right? There's like goggles on this cowl, if I remember correctly. So I was like, everything I'm seeing here right now is awesome. This looks like super, super cool, very badass. And then I see this video like a day later where Batman, whoever it is, whatever actor's in there, is just driving this motorcycle like maybe like 8 miles an hour and like falls over on it. Like he just like gets to the very end of this camera shot, and like I know the ground looks wet, but like they do like a little bit of a skid earlier, and then all of a sudden it's just like, oh, I don't know how the brakes work, and they just kind of fall over like a little kid on their bike.
It's done, kind of thing.
Yeah, so it makes me wonder, maybe that is Robert Pattinson in there, because it's hard to imagine a professional stunt person beefing it on a motorcycle going 4 miles an hour.
Could be, or they could be worried that he would beef it and do that.
Maybe it's part of the stunt. This is Batman year 2. He didn't learn how to ride the motorcycle in year 1. That's the focus of year 2.
It's the comedy Batman we've never gotten.
Yeah, bringing a little bit of Batman 66 in here.
Well, what's interesting is, we talked about his ears. His ears aren't too tall. They're a little wide. It kind of looks like, to be completely honest, this looks like Ben Affleck. In like a young Ben Affleck in a bat suit.
Oh, not the ears, though. The Ben Affleck ears were much more stubby.
Right, yeah, but I'm just saying, like, if you're like, oh, I wonder what Ben Affleck looked like his second year he was Batman, this is what he would look like.
Yeah, I mean the suit's definitely different, but I can see like the frame, the chin. It's so funny. If you're going to be doing superhero news analysis, you really got to know your chins, and I guess I got to beef up on my chins a little bit. But I'm loving everything I'm seeing right here. I mean, and there's a bat motorcycle. This isn't just like a motorcycle. Like it's got like a front little wind guard that is shaped like bat ears.
You got to get the bat ears kind of thing, a little light. It's not too bad. Like this is kind of fun. If you scroll down from that video, there are the photos Mike was talking about right below it. So, it's not your Dark Knight bat, motorcycle. This looks like, hey, he actually has a motorcycle kind of deal going on. So I think it's fun. I think it looks good. We're
oh yeah, for sure. I just crossing my fingers that the story's good.
Yeah. DC hasn't done this horribly lately, so knock on wood. Wonder Woman 84, we get our first look at what they've been calling the Sphinx suit now. An official look here at it. It's gold and shiny. That's about all we got. Yeah, I mean, you can see it pretty much just as it is in some of the other early video
press photos. Yeah. And also in the trailer, you can get little bits of it there. But, this is a nice little standalone. It looks like there's more... originally, it looked like all armor from head to toe, but it looks like maybe some of the sleeving and legging material could be a little bit more mushy. Kind of looks like a spacesuit a little bit. yeah,
a little bit. Little, very, very shiny, very colorful. We see the greens and the reds from the 80s here. I'm looking forward to seeing her with the full wings in the
yeah,
armor
it's
suit.
it's badass. I don't know how it ties into the story. I don't know if she needs a whole suit of armor to fight Cheetah, because it seems like Cheetah's a very quick character. It seems like this armor is going to slow her down, but who knows if it has wings, fly up in the air. Maybe it imbues flight into Wonder Woman. I don't know.
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, I kind of, again, I read a plot synopsis, so I know a little more than I'm letting on about this, Mike, but I think you'll be pleasantly surprised. The other link we had here actually is the Cheetah Funko Pop, and they've disabled the link. So since I put this up,
that's how you know it means something.
yeah, it is. And because a Toy Fair was this weekend. If anyone didn't know, Toy Fair in New York was this weekend. Tons and tons of Funko stuff. They put out so many pops. Marvel Zombies, the Marvel video games. I'm going to kind of scroll through a Google search here and see if I can find it.
I mean, Chris, the most important thing that now I do realize was from this Toy Fair, because I was looking it up because I wanted to buy it, but it's not available yet, is there's a Baby Yoda Chia pet where it's Baby Yoda and his little hovering little carrying pod, and you can grow like whatever the chia plant is. I don't even know what chia grows. Just know it's like little green plants, and it grows up in and around Baby Yoda. It doesn't grow off of his face, because there is like an old Yoda chia pet, which is less exciting now that Baby Yoda exists, that grows off of like Yoda's skin, which is kind of weird. So I want this Baby Yoda Chia pet really, really bad, but hopefully the stuff that's at this Toy Fair will be coming out sooner rather than later.
Well, a lot of it is ready to pre-order, surprisingly enough.
Well, I did some Baby Yoda Chia pet Googling, and I didn't find anything directly, but I've never had a Chia pet before, so if anybody knows what a chia is, what is the plant? Can I eat it? Do I have to worry about bugs? What's the deal? It's weird because you don't grow it in dirt. Is it like a moss? It goes to show you I don't know anything about growing anything.
It's chia seeds, man. You put them in your juice, let them soak overnight, then you drink them, right? Isn't that what they're what you do with chia seeds?
I don't think so, but it's okay.
Yeah, I cannot find this cheetah image anywhere, Mike. I'm gonna have to pull it up later. But if it's pulled, that means it's real. So I'm excited to see what this looks like. So I'll have to take that out of the notes, Mike.
Well, I mean, with my cursory Google search, I'm getting a lot of Chester Cheetah.
Yeah.
From the Cheetos universe.
Yeah, they have the cheetah, Chester Cheetah Funko Pop. They did like a brand icon line. So.
Yeah, I mean, if you go out there and you do your cheetah Googling, you can see the black silhouette of Cheetah.
Yeah.
So it looks like she's in like a little bit of a power stance. She has a tail there for sure. So makes me think that there's some mutation happening there. And there's also some concept art and some like, I want to say, promo stuff that you might see on a movie theater cup of Cheetah. So we've had some looks of her, but
yeah, it's always fun to see these things when they come out, and then by the time you realize like, oh, it was real and it's gone, you're like, ah, damn, how am I gonna get people to convince that this was actually happening here?
Yeah, Chris is usually on top of it with screenshots and doing backups to Google Drive, but it's all right.
Well, you know what? Here we go, Mike. I found it. How about that? I'm going to send it to your text. Is that cool with you? The link to look at.
That's fine. Send it over. I will describe it to our listeners in excruciating detail of what this Cheetah Funko Pop looks like, because everyone's is on the edge of their seat.
Well, it looks like a cheetah person, really, at the end of the day. And it's a mystery mini on the Funko line, not a full pop. So did you get it?
No, I'm not seeing it. I'm not seeing it come through. Oh wait, there it is.
There it is.
Oh, okay. It's just a cheetah person.
It's a cheetah person.
There's some slick back hair. There is some kind of confusing breast lumps, which I don't really know how that's going to translate.
Cats don't have those.
To the screen. I still have not seen the Cats movie that came out in December, so we'll have to see the best CG cat character.
Who's the best fake cat character on screen this year? But yeah, it just looks like that. So that's in our notes now. So we can move on to the next thing. Get out here. Harley Quinn, the TV series, the animated one, right, Mike? Season 1 just wrapped. Season 2 will return on Friday, April 3rd. Quick turnaround here.
Yeah, that's quick. That's great. It seems like it went really, really well. I've heard of the show from people that aren't necessarily in the superhero circle, so it's kind of breaking through some of the filters that people put up. So yeah, I just hope it comes to HBO Max in May, because Disney, the DC streaming service, it's not up my alley right now. But if all that stuff gets ported to HBO Max, I'll give it a try.
Yeah, I mean, it'll be. I mean, this is here. Originally, the show was written for 26 episodes for season 1. They did them in 2 laps of 13s and split them into 2 seasons. So that's why the quick turnaround is, which is good because they probably have learned after 1.5, 2 years of DC Universe, you don't want any downtime, right? And that's what Disney Plus is kind of going through right now. The all the exciting launch stuff is out of the way, and we don't have anything in the middle right now. So. So they've learned. So good job for Harley Quinn. You need to pick me up after that. Sonic beat you at the box office 2 weekends in a row. I would need to pick up too. TV show Superman and Lois, the spinoff on the CW from Supergirl, will apparently pick up right after the Crisis on Infinite Earths episodes, Mike, which you did watch. Mm-hmm. And they'll apparently have 2 kids instead of 1. One will be Jonathan Kent and a newly created character, Jordan Kent, for this show.
Oh, man, I just don't want to be crass right now in case somebody is really connected to these characters. But I mean, the Crisis crossover didn't really make me want to follow the characters any further. Actually, the Crisis was probably detrimental to who they have playing Superman in that universe right now, because we got to see Brandon Routh come back to the costume Superman. And the role of Superman, and they have them standing right next to each other in a few scenes, and Brandon Routh is just taller, bigger, larger, fills out the suit so much better, and I'm just like, oh man, that really seems like lesser Superman that you left me with here with another TV show. But I mean, if they did some interesting stuff with the kids, just go weird. Both of the kids have like powers, and I don't know, they're going to school, causing mischief, fighting bad guys with the kids.
That's
the
thing.
family.
I don't want them both to have identical Superman powers, because what's the fun if you have Superman and 2 mini Supermen, right? Like, give them something different. Maybe one of them's not really their kid. Maybe it's an adopted alien of another species who's like a villainous species. I don't know, like kind of opposite of Superman. They have opportunities. They have opportunities here with this. All the multiverses merged into one, right? So
you're gonna have to do something, because I would say the quality and the entertainment value over at the CW has been waning for me, unfortunately, and they got to do something to spice it up. And I'm hoping that that's the Green Lantern show, just really kind of
not going to CW though.
Bring it to the Max, the HBO Max, but it is Berlanti, so I could see there could be some crossover there. But yeah, I don't know, man.
No, Diggle's Green Lantern. Remember? Did you not see that?
Diggle is Green Lantern.
Yeah, the last Arrow episode, they allude to Diggle being Green Arrow. He opens a box and the box is green light coming out of it.
No,
I'm like that's not really a Green Lantern. That's a green box. Don't lie to us. So if you're a fan of that show, you got your moment there. So, all right, Mike, it's time to wrap it up for the week. I gotta go do inventory on my comic books to get signed next weekend. You know me. I'm also gonna be giving stuff out. I've got stuff I don't want anymore. I'm gonna be giving it out to people who want superhero stuff. So, if people want to know what you're up to, what you're doing, where can they find you at?
All you got to do is follow me at Mike Royer Design on Twitter and Instagram, and you can read my webcomics at pickledcomics.com. Chris, if people want to catch up with you, see those videos where you chatted about those CW shows online, or if they want to connect with you at C2E2, where can they find you?
You can find me on Twitter, Valdan, Valdan. That'll probably be the best way to message me at the convention floor, to be completely honest. Or you can message me on Instagram, Valdan87. That's less convenient because I have my work account tied to that one as well. But either way, or you can just you can message us through the Facebook thing. I'll see it on the page for sure. It's on Superhero Slate on Facebook. So I'll be at C2E2 next year. Definitely next week. Having a great time. I really want people to come out and see me, and we'll have some fun. If people want to know more about our shows, listen to our Birds of Prey review, anything else, where can they find us at?
Oh, it's so easy to do. All you got to do is, I'm mincing my words here, just go to superheroslate.com. You can get our awesome show notes. So if you want to check out links to these Marvel investor presentations, you can kind of see those logos, and hit it up. Superheroslate.com. The Batman footage. Yeah, if you want to see this goofball falls off his motorcycle.
Yeah, the cheetah pop we had to re-look up while we were on the show.
Yeah, you got to check out the show notes, and you can find us on Apple Podcasts, YouTube, Spotify, wherever else you like to listen to find podcasts. Like us on Facebook, follow us on Twitter and Instagram, and you can get merch at superheroslate.com/store. We love hearing from you. And how often does Sony make you mad that they're playing with our MCU universe? So let me know what you think is going on with Sony, and if Kevin Feige is going to send his little Padawan on over there. Do you think that's a good idea? I don't know. Reach out. Let us know. We love hearing from you.
Be great if it was us.
Yeah, and we love our super fans. So if you want to be a super fan of this show, all you got to do is share the show with a friend, share the show with a buddy, and we'll be here every week, folks.
Including next week with our C2E2 wrap-up. We'll see you then.
Yeah, see you then. Bye.
Thanks for listening, and don't forget to subscribe.
Cakes.